In a few quick years, Buster Posey will be up for the Hall of Fame. Now, it may strike you as kind of perplexing why I'm making this video because probably in your head you think Buster Posey is a slam dunk Hall of Famer. Now, when you think of the man, I agree. Before I started looking at his stats, if you had asked me 5 years ago, do you think Buster Posey's gonna be a Hall of Famer? I'd have been like, yeah, without a doubt, slam dunk Hall of Famer. Well, him retiring quite early, and when you look at his stats, I'm here to say today that I don't know if Posey is actually a Hall of Famer. Now, with me saying that, I do think he's going to get in. No matter what I say here in this video, I think he will get in just because everyone likes him. And for him winning championships and MVPs and so forth, I think he's going to get in, I think, on the first ballot without any issue. But I just want to raise awareness, just really dig into his stats and ask yourself, is he really a Hall of Famer? So there are 19 catchers in the Hall of Fame right now, and roughly about a handful of them are from the dead ball era or just right out of the dead ball era. So their stats are really kind of hard to quantify with modern day players. I mean, you got some guys like Rick Farrell. He had over 1,600 hits, but he only had 28 career home runs. And there's other catchers like that that are in the Hall of Fame. Not saying that the guy isn't worthy or deserving. For his era, yeah, he was one of the best. But if you're trying to compare him to, say, Buster Posey or Pudge or someone like that, it's real tough. So roughly, I think you can only compare Posey to catchers, say, the last 70-ish years, 75-ish years. So from like roughly Bill Dickey to Yogi Berra's era to Johnny Bench, Gary Carter, Pudge, Piazza, that kind of era of catching, I think we can compare Posey to. Before we start comparing Posey to other Hall of Fame catchers, let's kind of look at his stats real quick. So Posey is a one-time MVP winner. He's Rookie of the Year. He won 3 World Series, 1 Gold Glove, 5 Silver Sluggers, 7 All-Star appearances, and a batting title. All awesome accolades, right? He has a career .302 batting average, 158 home runs, and right on the dot, 1,500 hits. He also has 663 runs scored and 729 RBIs. And for those of you that care, he has an OPS plus of 129. So obviously Posey had a really, really good career. Some even may say great. But when you're looking at the totality of being a Hall of Famer, I think he falls just a bit short. If Posey would have played another 3 to 5 years, I think without a doubt he's a Hall of Famer because he would have rolled over to 2,000 hits. He would have probably gotten to 200 home runs, and more than likely he would have been able to keep his average right around 300. And all those things would have gotten you into the Hall of Fame as a catcher, because obviously catching is a hard position, so stats are a little bit lesser than at that position compared to, say, first base or shortstop. So you really don't need to get that far into the overall production. Right around 2,000 hits, 200-ish home runs, you're probably going to get in as a catcher. But that's where, to me, Posey just falls a bit short. Also, too, after just looking at Posey's stats, if Posey gets in the Hall of Fame, AJ Pierzynski and Jorge Posada should be in the Hall of Fame. Their stats are better than Posey's, and they're more comparable with the guys I am mentioning in this video that are already Hall of Fame catchers. Even with Posada and Pierzynski, if you want to look at their accolades a little bit more, not just their stats, they're very comparable to Posey, and they should get more recognition and be considered for the Hall of Fame also. I think the best Hall of Fame catcher we can compare Posey to is Bill Dickey. Now, Bill Dickey batted .313 in his career with just shy of 2,000 hits at 1969 and 202 home runs. Obviously a really good career. He's a all-time great Yankee, but one thing that Bill Dickey has a lot more of than Posey is RBIs. He has almost the double amount of RBIs than Posey. Bill Dickey had 1,209 RBIs. And if we want to count career accolades like Posey having an MVP and being an all-star and everything, so let's look at Bill Dickey's accomplishments as a player. He was a 11-time All-Star and a 7-time World Series champion. So if you want to lump in Posey's 3 World Series, that's great, but Bill Dickey has 7. Now, if you want to compare Posey to more of his contemporaries in Pudge and Piazza, Piazza was a .308 hitter with a little over 2,100 hits with 427 home runs and over 1,300 RBIs. Just blowing Posey out of the water in all aspects, but Piazza did play a lot longer, and near the end of his career, if you want to make this argument, Piazza did play a lot of first base and DH a lot, but that argument really doesn't really land with me when a guy catches, say, 15 years out of his 17-year career, where Piazza pretty much falls in that category. Where you can make a real argument in that way is, say, like Joe Mauer. He caught for like, 8 years in the last, 5 years of his career. He did not catch at all, so a lot of his stats shouldn't count towards him being a catcher. You know, that's a whole other video and a whole other topic that you can really tackle of, like, are his numbers worthy being a Hall of Famer as a catcher? I don't know. It's a good argument for another day. So getting back to the topic at hand here, Pudge, he batted .296 in his career with almost 3,000 hits. He's at 2844 with 311 home runs and over 1,300 RBIs. So looking at the two most recent Hall of Famers to get in as a catcher, I don't think Posey's even in the same realm as Pudge or Piazza, mainly just due to the fact that Posey just didn't play long enough. Him retiring early like Barry Sanders, to me, would hurt him to be a Hall of Famer. He simply just didn't play long enough. And before anyone makes the argument of Yadier Molina getting into the Hall of Fame, I think he's a Hall of Famer due to longevity. He caught the whole time. He has over 2,000 hits. He's only got a few more home runs than Posey. Got a pretty decent career batting average at 277, but he has over 1,000 RBIs, and he ultimately revolutionized the position defensively. I mean, he's a 9-time Gold Glover, 4-time Platinum Glove winner, 10-time All-Star, 2 championships, and he even has a Silver Slugger to boot, and he had a lot longer career than Posey. He played almost 20 years, where if Posey almost played 20 years, he potentially could have been one of the best catchers ever to play baseball. And personally, I have no issue with Posey retiring early. I mean, he's made tons of money. He has a young family. Like, enjoy life. There's more to life than baseball, believe me. But if you're just strictly looking at the numbers and looking at other Hall of Fame catchers, I just don't think Posey did enough in his career to warrant getting into the Hall of Fame. I guess this would be a good time to bring up too that it's hard to quantify defensive metrics and stuff. I know they've gotten better, but you can argue, and I'm sure a lot of the writers will argue, that if it wasn't for Posey, who's to say that the Giants wouldn't have won those 3 championships, especially with all the aces that they had on those teams. They'd probably argue that Posey got the most out of them, whether that's Lincecum, Matt Cain, Bumgarner, and that really deep bullpen they had throughout that dynasty. I'm sure you can make the argument that if it wasn't for Posey, who's to say that those pitchers would be as good as they were during that stretch run? And I wouldn't disagree. Obviously, Posey is one of the better catchers of the last 20 years, and him putting the fingers down behind home plate probably really did help those pitchers reach the highest levels that they possibly could. Again, I think the majority of people just have the perception that he's going to be a Hall of Famer due to him winning all the championships, being an MVP, etc., etc. Without a doubt, I think he'll get in because people will look at his peak 8 to 10 years and then they'll see that, wow, you know, he was really all that in a bag of chips. But to me, when you really dig into it a little bit more, I just think he's just a little bit shy. Just to kind of sum up this whole video, I do think Posey will be a Hall of Famer. I think plenty of people will vote for him. But just to me, I think he does fall just a bit short, falling into the category of, say, Johnny Bench, Gary Carter, Yogi Berra, Bill Dickey, Pudge, Piazza, Ted Simmons. I think he just falls a tad short of being in that upper echelon of those great catchers, purely due to the fact that he just didn't play long enough. Let's say Posey came back this year and played with the Rangers for Bochy, played 2-3 years with them. I think he rolls over the top and becomes a Hall of Famer. Like I've already argued earlier in this video, this is probably going to be the most controversial video I make so far on this channel, so I am very interested to hear your thoughts. Do you think Posey's a Hall of Famer? Do you not think he's a Hall of Famer? I would love to hear your thoughts. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and while you're down there, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. Until next time, guys, everyone have a great day. Thanks for watching.